Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township, you know, those government entities that make laws, regulations, and ordinances that affect you out there.
And whether you live in the village of Leonard, the village of Oxford, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you elected, and the committees and the commissions that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you chose to go to that meeting or not. And that's why we're here.
Yes. And also, we want to remind people that we have an election coming up. We got a primary coming August 2nd, you know, for the township. And November 8th, I believe it is.
Is it for the township?
For the township, yeah, would be the August 2nd primary. Because the village isn't on that particular ballot.
And then comes November. Yeah. And after all the mud has been flung, you can go vote.
Well, there may be a little more mud, you know, around the area when you get there. But anyway, don't forget to vote.
You might need your boots.
You might need your boots. Well, speaking about boots, let's talk about two different meetings. One was the Oxford Village Planning Commission meeting, which was held June 7th. The other one is the Oxford Township Board of Trustees meeting, the regular meeting.
Oh, it was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. Held on the 8th of June. So let's go to the Oxford Village meeting first, shall we?
Okay.
Okay. John Duvall is the chairman. Does a good job there, by the way. I used to sit on that board with John.
Very knowledgeable guy.
Very knowledgeable and runs a pretty tight ship. Does a good job. Anyway, that being said, they did the Pledge of Allegiance. Got that finished. Roll call. Everybody was there. They asked anybody want to approve the minutes for May 17th, and everybody said aye, so they approved it.
Did they look?
They did. Yeah, they did read the minutes too. Hopefully they did before the meeting occurred, because they get all these copies, you know, in advance. But who knows? Anyway, that guy said, "Hey, he voted. I'll vote too." You know, sounds good. We'll
I doubt that, folks.
No, a little more conscientious than that. But you folks keep an eye out. That could be the humor out there.
Or the rumor.
Or the rumor. Could be the rumor. This guy, of course, sets most of the rumors here, as I pointed out before. And sometimes his rumors turn out to be, you know,
true.
Yeah.
Well, it's a dirty job, but someone has to do it.
It is. And I'll tell you what, if anybody's going to do the dirty job, that dirty job should be yours.
Hey, wait a minute.
Okay, old business. They talked about old business, and one of the things, we're going to talk marijuana. Yeah, smoking.
Your favorite subject. No, no.
Maybe not mine, but I understand that there's certain patches of it out in Brandon area, here and there, whatever.
Well, you know what they say, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, I know those chipmunks out in your backyard, you know, seem to walk funny occasionally, so I don't know what's, and they have a funny smell.
Could be, they've been very mellow lately.
Very mellow chipmunks. Anyhow, medical marijuana, that's before the Senate, the state Senate. And it looks like it's going to be a while before anything is approved there, because it was tabled at least for the summer.
The last law they had was sort of a joke, because they left everybody guessing what the heck it meant.
They did. Well, you know, there's several parts, you know, to this bill. The license, of course, will have to be charged out to the person, you know, taking on the responsibility to handle this marijuana process. And there's several processes. One is the production. One would be for testing, the other one for growth, and of course,
use.
Processing. Not use, processing and transporting between locations, that kind of thing. So there's separate areas.
How about retailing?
Well, I don't know if it's called retailing, but I can tell you this much.
Well, they get it for free?
No. No. The people who come, you know, to use this marijuana, they are charged, and the money goes to the state, and a certain percentage of those funds go back to, for example, the village, which would be a 0.66%.
So is everyone hoping that that'll be as popular as cigarettes?
I don't know, but you folks want to keep an eye on this one. There's a lot of people, you know, that disagree with it. Yeah. You know, they think, well, you know, there's people on the highway that are drinking too much alcohol. Now they're going to be on the highway, you know, smoking too much marijuana as well as drinking too much alcohol.
Well, there's some medical issues too, but that's okay.
There are, medical issues. But, you know, I don't understand why, you know, it isn't really handled through pharmacies, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If it's a, you know, substance that, you know, needs to be controlled, right?
Yeah.
But
although
instead
I don't know how many insurance companies would carry it on their formulary.
No, probably not. I don't know. That could be a tough one. I agree. So anyway, there's a number of things happening, and they're saying that it's at least 9 months out before anything is actually going to happen, and as far as approval.
The wheels of government move very slowly.
Right. And even if it were approved, it's going to take several months, maybe a year or so, before things fall in place, in terms of their control and regulations. So it's a slow process.
That almost sounds like maybe.
Right. Well, there's another aspect to this too.
What's
There's
that?
people out there that want to legalize marijuana, such as they did in Colorado, where it just sold, retail-wise. And there, of course, there's no way that supposedly it could get on the ballot because there's a time limitation as to when you can put it on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's 180 days, whatever.
Wasn't there a conflict between federal law and state law?
There still is. Federal law is still in existence.
Doesn't it trump state law?
It does, but they're not enforcing it. Federal agencies are not enforcing it. So what good is the law? It's kind of like, you can't smoke, if you're 18 or younger, Well, kids are smoking anyway.
Well, that's true.
How do you stop them? Arrest them all? You can't do that. So anyway, the federal government is saying that that's their least prioritized, regulation. In other words, they're not chasing these
They could
people.
make them camp counselors for 8th graders. That would sober them up.
You know what? That's an idea. We could do that. But anyway, so the people that are trying to get it legalized are saying, well, they disagree with the 180-day rule, and that it should be on the November ballot, for people to vote on. And so they have sued the state of Michigan. Folks didn't know that, did you?
Oh.
To get this overturned, that they can get on the ballot.
Who's they?
They are the people, as soon as you can identify them, we would like to let the whole world know who they are.
Oh, I thought it might have been a specific organization.
I'm not at all sure. I think it's people who like to smoke marijuana. I think that would be the agency or the group.
I see.
But all those that like to smoke marijuana, raise your hand. All those that don't, raise your hand. Anyway, I think that's the way it worked.
Like water, they want to make it potable.
Right, and and I would suspect that these people have to have deep pockets in order to, file a legal suit against the state of Michigan, because you know how that will go. Slow. Remember, we just talked about slow-running government, right?
That's right.
And the courts run a little faster, but they could put them on the docket, for a year from now, 2 years, and they would miss the ballot. So it's hard to say how this is going to play out. We'll have to see, in the November election, if there's a ballot spot on there, for legalization of marijuana, period. Or
Isn't it
just
a
for
little late
medical.
in the game?
It is supposedly late in the game. As a matter of fact, that's what the state has told them, that you can't be on the ballot because you missed the deadline. And they disagree with that, so there will be a legal suit involving, the courts making a decision.
Yes, I know there are rules, but we don't want to play by them.
We don't want to use those rules. Where have I heard that before? Could be even in local government occasionally, but
what's the old saying? I'd rather apologize than ask permission.
Absolutely. But you know what? When local government officials do that, the people, they bring, as you say, pitchforks and fire, to the next meeting.
Been to those meetings.
Yeah, and amazingly enough, they do change their direction occasionally. So that being said, we'll tell you more when we come back right after this.
Hey Oxford, looking for something exciting to do this summer? Come out to the 8th Annual Seymour Celebration. This 3-day family event will be July 7th, July 8th, and July 9th at Seymour Lake Township Park. The event will start on July 7th with the Meyer Family Movie Night showing Minions at dusk, as well as the Skirbeck Carnival getting on the way. On Friday, July 8th, we'll have live entertainment along with the carnival and the Meyerwork fireworks at dusk. On Saturday, July 8th, the community clean sweep will take place, as well as the Diamond Classic Baseball Tournament, Home Depot Kids Corner, and other family activities. That evening will conclude with the Genesis Credit Union Family Fireworks at dusk. If you'd like to buy a pre-carnival wristband, those can be done now by visiting oxparkrec.org or SeymourCelebration.com. Pre-sale wristbands are $3 off and can be used any of the 3 days for children as well as adults. For further information of this community event, please call the Parks and Recreation Department at 248-628-1720, or once again, visit us at our website, oxparkrec.org, or seymourcelebration.com. Thank you.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Oxford Village Planning Commission, and we just finished with marijuana. That train is left, and I can see the smoke. So anyway, recognition, electronic signs, and a request of a map for the proposed electronic sign areas.
Are they coordinating that with the Village of Oxford?
Well, that is the Oxford Village that is actually looking at this at this point.
Oh, okay.
The township
But
will be
the
looking
township,
at that
the
as
township,
well.
that's right, yes.
Township will be looking at the same issue. But anyway, so council members asked to see the breakdown of where the proposed LED signs would be allowed. There are a few in town that are already there. Discussion.
Are they grandfathered in?
Well, actually the grandfather clause really doesn't apply anymore. Used to, but that's been overruled by a lot of courts.
Well, there it is. They're fait accompli, and they're sitting there. What are they going to do with them?
Right, what are they going to do with them? Discussion followed zoning, where these things should be, and Helmuth pretty much led that conversation. And for example, they talked about the C2 zoning area, the CO zoning area, and the C1, and the L1 areas. And that specialized restrictions should be held for each of those areas for certain signage. They said that it cannot have a negative impact on the neighborhood. For example, you put a sign in that lights up the whole sky, and that's something that you don't want to do, for your neighbors.
Like being in an apartment in Times Square.
Yeah, blinking on and off. You try to get some sleep. Yeah, you've had that happen when you were a little kid, and flashlight on and off,
Oh, yeah.
And they tell ghost stories in a tent. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you probably do, yeah.
Then we'd run inside.
Right. So anyway, John Duvall said, impact on the neighbors would be certainly a primary criteria where these signs might go.
Not to mention distraction for drivers.
Yeah, well, they can actually control the lighting, depending on the time of the day or night.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's
reduce
that.
the lighting.
There's that, and there's the actual changing of the sign that occurs that can be distracting.
And actually, that happens, with the bank. There's a couple of banks downtown. One is Oxford Bank, the other one is Genesis. And I actually see nothing wrong with those signs. I mean, they're pretty well done in terms of the way they were designed. And they're not overly bright, in terms of lighting, but easily readable. So I think they use good taste in putting those together. If they could do that and control it, which I think is what their thought is,
Well, there's
down
the
the line.
whole issue of placement too, how
There
far
is.
back they have to be or
Yeah.
whatever.
Do you put an LED sign on every building? I don't think so. I mean, the historical people have.
Why, we'd
have
be a
good
little
point.
Las Vegas.
It would be. The historical team downtown wouldn't ever allow that to happen. Where you got these blinking signs.
You
all
get
over the
that many
place.
blinking signs, the next thing we'll have is a casino.
Right, yeah, he could have that. Yeah, right. Anyway, Dave Bailey, they did talk about, somebody for the Planning Commission as far as being appointed, and Dave Bailey originally had applied, to get on the Planning Commission, and this particular evening he removed himself from it because he said that ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, was something that he wanted to remain on, and he didn't feel that he could do both, so he withdrew his name. Adam Johnson, another gentleman who applied for the seat, is a 6-year resident, and he believes that industry in the area is actually taking a back seat to a number of things that are going on within the village, and would like to voice, their concerns, and would like to, be placed on the seat. The gentleman named Bill Myers, he also was running, but he withdrew his name. He said his schedule has changed, won't allow him to do this. So the two people.
Three came in, and
No, the four came
one
in.
was left. Four came
Four
in,
came
and how
in.
many were left?
Yeah, two. Gary Douglas was the other one.
Oh.
He's a 6-year resident. And this guy has quite a bit of experience. Actually, he's from New Mexico, and he was on the board of directors in New Mexico for a period of time, saw some growth there, worked with that particular growth. He's a mechanical engineer, I understand, with the company, local company. And he would like,
board of directors in a company.
no, a board of directors for a city.
Township or
Yeah,
oh, okay.
for a city.
I didn't know they called it that.
Right, well, it would be on a board,
Yeah.
and he'd be one of the directors, you
Okay,
know,
just wondered.
developing ordinances and specifications, you know, for, you know, construction, that kind of thing. You
So
know.
he's been there, done that.
He's been there, done that, and he has that kind of experience. So it came to a motion on this, and they did approve Adam Johnson, and they did approve Gary Douglas for the seats. So there's 2 new people. However, that's only recommendation from the Planning Commission, and now has to go before the Village Council. Village Council makes the ultimate decision to put these people on the board. However, I think their time limitation does give them a lot of time to bring additional people in, because from the date that they need to have someone fill these slots, they have 90 days. And I think that time will have almost come and gone.
Well done.
So they're running close to the deadline. So I think that you'll see them approved more likely for the seats. Let me see, there's a presentation by Chris Corey from McKenna and Associates on the master plan. That's be updated. And he spent some time talking about that. There's a packet put together with 3 different documents in it that talked about future transportation plans and so forth, you know, for the village. And there's other areas too, Parks and Rec and some other areas that will impact area development, in other words, right?
Right.
Okay.
Does that have anything to do with the development on 24 by MDOT?
It will. It will have something to do with future too, with MDOT. And that's all part of the big major plan out there.
That's been pushed off year by year.
Right. And actually, they're looking like about 5 years down the line before they're going to see any real activity going on.
That's
within
what
the
they
area.
keep saying. It's going to be 5 years. It doesn't make any difference when they say it. It's 5 years down the line.
Exactly. And you know what? The DPW, Department, or not DPW, DDA, Downtown Development Authority, actually are setting funds aside
Okay.
for future, for when this is to be done 5 years from now. That's a smart move on their part, because we do know that those businesses are going to take a big hit. You know, when that road starts getting closed off, US 24 is shut down with only 1 lane. So that's going to impact
Remember
businesses.
Rochester?
Right. And so they will use the money, I'm sure, for, you know, marketing, that kind of thing, you know, help the businesses during that period.
Absolutely.
So good move on the DDA. That would be Joe Frost, the executive director on that board.
right.
And also
Probably
Pete
advertise
Schultz,
a lot of
chairman.
alternate access to these businesses.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll all be worked out. And as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
they did discuss that to some degree, alternate routes that people can take. And by the way, this conversation went on quite a while. They did talk about, you know, using Glaspie Street, tying in other roads, you know, making it easier for parking, that kind of thing. Talking about US 24 median possibility, you know, for a median.
US 24?
Or M24, I'm sorry. I want to change the US.
That was Dixie Highway.
US.
That was Telegraph, actually.
It was Telegraph.
Yeah.
Long time ago. You remember that?
Still is.
It still is? Okay. Did it ever been changed?
What?
Has there been
US
change?
24?
Yeah, to Telegraph?
No, it's alternate names. It's like M24 is Washington Street. It's
Or it's same as Dixie Highway or M13?
Flint Street or whatever.
I understand
then
that.
then it sort of, you know, picks up its original designation when it's out in the country.
The name of any other name would be M24.
Sure.
That's what we know it as. And Washington Street, of course. Parking study was done, that there's 1,200 total parking spaces within the village, private and public. And what's interesting to note is that only a small portion of these parking spots that are private are used during the peak hours. But on
Well,
as
peak
far-
hours. Peak hours means where's the restaurant?
Exactly, and exactly. That's the restaurants, the movie theater, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And the point was that, you know, for example, the bank has 80 spots, but they're only using 30, you know, from Oxford Bank. And maybe a negotiation could be made with the bank to make those parking spots available.
It's kind of
after
inaccessible
hours.
right now, isn't it?
It is, but if they had a regulation or an ordinance that would allow, you know,
Sure.
when they
Remove some
put
of
these
those little barriers they
businesses
put
in,
there.
it would ease some of the parking, you know, in the area. What they find is that peak time, of course, the public parking spots are pretty much filled up completely, but the private spots, quite a few of them open. And we'll talk about that when we come back.
And peak time usually means if it's a standard business, they've closed,
Might-
as opposed to a restaurant or a theater,
Could have.
maybe.
We'll talk about that when we come back right after this, folks. Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Planning Commission for the village. And it was a really long meeting.
How long was
About
it?
4 hours, remember? 3 hours.
4
something like
hours?
that. Seemed like days.
2.5. Go for 2.5.
Something along that line. One of the other issues that came up was outside seating, parking or seating of people, at restaurants.
Right, right.
And more and more restaurants like the outside seating capabilities. And actually, one restaurant said, well, they like to have it year-round. I said, well, year-round? Who wants to sit
And we'd
sit
like
outside at 20
and we'd
below
like
zero?
and we'd like slush barriers. Thank you.
Right. I think they'll probably put heaters out there or something. I would hope they would. But anyway, so it's a consideration.
Oh,
And
good. Now the slush will turn to ice.
And here's the thing. Right now, it has a 1-year permit, to do it, and it's under grandfather clause, so they'll continually get it, whoever has it, without, And what came up is maybe it should be an administrative responsibility, rather than the village council deciding, to go ahead with this and approve it.
An
For each of the-
administrative?
Yeah, it should be administrative, like through Joe Young
Okay.
and through his office.
Not that they would ever cause that to be exceptional.
Right. It wouldn't be exceptional.
Well, I know
probably.
we gave you the power, but don't do that.
Right, exactly. Here's the thing, though. John Duvall says, oh, wait a minute, that'd be too much additional paperwork required, by the administrative office. And besides, he says, I think we need to maintain the control within the council. So that was pretty much the way it was left. But it looks like there will be more and more restaurants that will have outdoor seating. I think it's kind of a neat thing, don't
No,
you?
Casa Real doesn't have it yet,
No?
right? And none of the 24th Street. 24th
24th
Street does
Street
have it.
has it.
And
Yep.
the Oxford Tap might be looking for it.
Right. I'm not sure. Does the Irish Pub have it? Or Sullivan's?
I don't
I think he does.
believe so. He's got a relatively small frontage.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that would be a neat place if he doesn't. Hey, we'll spread a rumor. He does.
But there's two forms of outdoor heating or outdoor
heating.
seating.
One
You
yeah,
might
two
need it in
sources.
in the year round.
Cigarette
but-
lighter and
Well, there's the kind that's out behind them, and then there's the kind that's on the sidewalk.
got it. All
Which
right.
one are we talking about?
I think the one that we just beat up.
Okay.
Let's go on to the Oxford Township regular Board of Trustees meeting. Bill Dunn, supervisor of the township,
Yep.
also is chairman of this.
Good guy.
Did Pledge allegiance, got that out of the way. Great, out of the way. Roll call, did roll call, everybody's there. Agenda, okay. The one thing they wanted to put on the agenda was the RTA, the Regional Transportation Authority.
Oh, they love that.
Yeah, and that is a item that's going to be on the November ballot.
Also known as no bang for the buck.
No bang for the buck, because it actually what it does is it provides low-cost, inexpensive transportation
To someone else.
to somebody. You keep pointing that out. It would probably have an effect for Detroit, maybe Wayne County,
Maybe Pontiac.
maybe well, I don't know about Pontiac. If it's
Really?
even going out that far.
Whoa.
I don't think it's going to affect Oakland County at all. I don't think it's going to be a drop-off point. And
and from the narrow point of view of Oxford Township and Addison Township,
yeah, and actually they did a poll, with the various townships, and most everybody is against it. What you'll find on the ballot is the
of course,
regional.
the main question they ask folks is, what's in it for me? Nothing.
Yeah, and here's what's in it for you. It's a 1.2 mil to your tax, that you're going to pay for 20 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, it goes on and on and on. 20 years. Okay, so anyway, so Bill Dunn says, He says, I'm against this. He said, what will happen here, he said, is if you take 1.2 mils and give it to somebody it's not even going to have transportation benefits to our residency in Oakland County, let alone in Oxford Township or Addison Township or any local,
And Leonard, forget about
Leonard, forget it. Yeah, Leonard, yeah, you'll never see it. But he says we have right now NOTA, that is a proven, very efficient mode of transportation for our residents.
And NOTA cooperates with the other larger system called SMART.
Yeah, and Bill says, he said, if you're going to extract 1.2 mils, he said, why not channel it over there? He said, because they're already proven. He said, otherwise, you're never going to see the results of your funding. It's going to, be rail that they're going to put in Detroit and in those areas.
I remember years ago, they actually had a plan that was going to run from Lapeer all the way down to the Rensen. And, well, those tracks are gone now.
What happened there? They call it Pollyant Trail now.
Well,
could be.
I don't know what their decision process was, but that's all gone. All that potential is gone.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. Joe Ferrari attempted to get on this board, because they formulated a board, and they rejected him for obvious reasons. He's kind of against it. And actually Joe Ferrari is just trying to search out what is this thing all about? How is it going to help us? And they didn't like the questions.
So is the Regional Transportation Authority mainly a rail line kind of a facility, or a combination of rail line and buses?
Could be combination.
Could be?
It doesn't really specify that.
Oh,
I don't think.
okay.
And if it does, Joe Ferrari is trying to find out. and he was having a hard time making inroads. So anyway, he was rejected. Sorry about that, Joe.
Well,
rejected.
No matter where the rail may go, the buses system is more flexible and could potentially be extended further than it's currently envisioned.
Right. Well, the little town of Leonard and their president, Mike McDonald, has made it very strongly, taken a strong position that they are against it, that it wouldn't help his residents at all, and should be voted down. And again, Bill Dunn says anybody living in Oakland County, they should vote this down with no questions asked.
Ask yourself,
Yep.
what's in it for me?
Right. The concern was too that if monies are taken, for this purpose, that there's less money going to be available for things that do affect the residents in this area. Good point. Well taken.
Yep.
The other thing that came up was, hey, what about Detroit Zoo? I mean, we
What
fund
about the Detroit Zoo?
It has animals in there. But anyway.
But everyone gets to enjoy that.
Well, everybody that goes. How many times have you gone last year?
Last year, once.
Okay. How many times have you gone the last 5 years?
4 times.
Okay. You're paying a pretty good percentage. I think it's 1.2, somewhere in that neighborhood. In terms
But I can
of
go
taxes.
anytime I want.
You can, but do you? And do you folks out there? That question came up. And also the Art Center, Detroit Art
Nor do I skydive.
Center of Art. Right. They said, we need to take a secondary look at that one too, because there's not a lot gained there.
Right.
But anyway, there are people that do use it from time to time, and the question is the value, and return. Is it worth what you're putting into
It's
it?
kind of like state parks.
It is, yeah. Well, I just love to see the bears in the parks. That's
Do
why
you?
I do the porcupines.
Don't feed the bear.
Pet the skunks. I mean, that's good.
It's going, oh, peanuts. Oh, hand.
Yeah, right. Talking about skunks, what's coming up?
Skunks! No. We do have meetings, folks. On 6/21 at 7 p.m., the Village of Oxford Planning Commission will be meeting. And on that same day at 7 p.m., the Fire Administration Board out in Addison Township. And on 6/22 at 6:30, the Oxford Board of Education will be meeting at the business offices in the Merriam Building. I think they still call it that, don't they?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. And on 6/23 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford
note.
Township Planning Commission will be meeting. And on 6/27 at 4 o'clock, the Oxford Area Cable Communications Commission
That's so
will
soon.
be
You know
meeting.
how fast that comes around?
Yes, it does. It's going to be at the Village of Oxford offices. It'll always be at the Village of Oxford offices. And that's our parent
Yeah.
organization. We love them.
We do. Yeah, we do. No matter what we say on the air here, we do love them. Right?
Yep.
Okay. That being said, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we'll catch you right here next time on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.